What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the bottom of the map in the red color, playing as Poseidon. His name is Skadi. His partners today in the sky blue, teal, cyan color, playing as Hades. His name is TSM Player. In the yellow color, playing as Oranos. His name is Gold Lion. And together, they do indeed make the team TBL. Their opponents today in the blue color, playing as Oranos. His name is Tunison. His partners today in the green color, playing as Hades, as Ninho. And finally, rounding out the team in the purple color, playing as Thor. His name is Mosca. Noticing we're moving a bit quickly here. The map is Mediterranean. We've seen a lot of Mediterranean. This is kind of part and parcel of what a team game tournament is. There was another option to go for, and I'm interested in what you guys would think. So that there is the option of doing a Champions League style format where the admins basically pick a pool of maps that they think are going to be good, or basically the moderators and myself pick a pool of maps that they think are going to be good and throw away any of the maps they don't particularly want to see. That's one option. Option number two is what we did here, where we give everyone that home map choice amongst all of the maps. So that way we do get to see teams who want to play on those special maps playing on those special maps. And then option three is kind of just a more of a random pool where we don't tell anyone anything. We just we spin a wheel, and it's very much random chance, no prep, and things get a bit wacky. But this is getting to the finals of the group stage, and we are about to move into a point of the tournament where, yes, there is still going to be a little bit of home map selecting going in, but there are also going to be 3 pre-selected maps that these guys have to play on. So it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, moving in to the qualifiers, not the qualifiers, the knockout stage, the elimination stage. It's a quarterfinals, semifinals, finals. So there's going to be 3 rounds remaining with the top 8 teams getting through. And we'll see exactly how it's all going to go, because it's going to be very, very hype games, I'm sure. As I think this is probably the first team game tournament with, this is kind of a lie. There's been one recent tournament in recent memory. This is the first team game tournament with no significant God restriction rules, aside from the stock standard rule that's been applied, with a significant prize pool for a team game tournament. So I'm excited to see if this means that the players, the teams, are going to feel a little bit more pressure, put a little bit more effort into their strategies, or if they're just going to be coming in and trying to do the same old stuff, expecting to win. But we'll have to wait and see what they're going to be going for in those qualifiers. I imagine these teams are hiding strategies, especially the top teams, not really feeling like they need to execute specific strategy they've been working on that they think is really, really good, or anything like that. I'm not 100% sure if these guys are going into like custom games, so to speak, and doing some hidden training either. I think that's a really, really good way to approach these sorts of tournaments. If you're wondering yourself, is to go into your own custom games, find a training team to play against, or training partner in the case of a 1v1, and test those strategies out, ensure that you're ready to go with them. But we are seeing everyone advancing. Fairly standard God picks thus far. We do see one player here, Skadi, going through Hermes. He's playing as Poseidon, though. It makes perfect sense. And I'm sure we're going to be seeing Mosca here go through Freya very, very shortly. A little bit of a later advance here from Mosca. And this does pose an interesting question. And that question is advancing later on Mediterranean a viable strategy in team games? Now, in 1v1, it doesn't really work because your opponent is able to get over you two significantly faster with their ships, excuse me. Your ships aren't going to be there because you're not going to be advancing for so long. You can see the difference in time here is almost 30 seconds between what Skadi's advanced and what Mosca's advanced. So we'll have to wait and see how much of an issue that's going to be. Obviously, Ninho can come over and support to defend that later advance as well as an idea. And what Mosca is going to be able to do is he's going to be able to get that Dwarven Armory down, have a little bit more resources to play with here as he advances later, gets those villagers out, and get that armory up and start going into those armory upgrades here in this game. As we do see Kotoska boss coming through, going to be harassing. Moscow wanting to get up his third dock here already. We do see the triremes making their way across the map, wanting to put a stop to this dock going up. Very well might be able to do so, but the longboats are coming out. The trireme already moving over here, and we actually already see TSM player moving in to get this harassment onto these fishing ships. Skadi moves in with his trireme in an attempt to take out the Ulfsark over here, and it will get taken out there if he's not careful. He makes one retreat away. 1 HP remaining of the Kotoskopos with one attack manages to finish that Ulfsark off. Great play from Skadi there, but there is still going to be that Herser in the main base here. Getting those houses up. Does need to make sure it gets those wooden walls up just in case Skadi decides to go for some early aggression here. Oscar, good micro thus far. Good micro from player already here as the boat micro does kick into gear here as we got now Goldline moving forward, harassing, but Tunison has already decided to abandon his own base and go for the double as TSM player and Skadi are going to get pushed back. Tunison just needs to garrison his fishing ships into the dock and he should be okay there. Just going to lose out on a little bit, but he does give the advantage over to his team on this side as we see the shockwave coming through there as well. Mosca pushing forward with his longboats. He's already got himself copper weapons here as well as the shockwave hitting back, and we are now seeing Goldline starting to harass Ninjo's fishing ships as TBL says, we don't care about these fights. Instead, going to be going for those raids. We do see some Bareems coming out here to harass the Bareems of Goldline, but you've got to be a little bit careful with the fights. He's going to be retreating away. A little bit overzealous here with this double or triple 3-on-2 here from Tunis, and he needs to get back and start defending himself or send Ninjo back to defend, one of the two. As the longbow is still pushing forward, the general game plan from a Norse side should be play defensively until you've got the boat numbers, and then you just simply win here with Norse is the general idea, because you've just got the stronger boats dealing, well, it's normally 7.0 damage, but as Thor can get upgrades, can go up to 7.7, can even get those armory upgrades as well, which are really, really important to boot, as we do see moving in onto this spot here. Mosca comes in with a little bit of harassment over here as the Minotaur getting a couple of shots off, but no real problems here for TSM play. Great reactions thus far, and the Minotaur is going to be more than enough to defend there as the restoration coming down. Ninjo retreating back, does lose a lot of those boats. It looks like TBL has come out on top here, but Mosca still very much in a good position here in terms of his own boat numbers. Still hasn't managed to get himself that copper shields upgrade just yet to really help his survivability. More HP or more effective HP in these matchups is super, super important for those boats to stay alive, and then you just have to make sure you focus fire where that's concerned. As now TBL needs to retreat back away here, and Ninjo and crew going to be pushing forward ever so slightly. We are still seeing the raids coming through from Goldline. Tunison isn't defending himself at all in this game, it seems. Has he been harassed or something? We do see an Oracle is out by Goldline. We've got some counter barracks and stuff coming up from Tunison here. An interesting idea. He's going to be going for some stuff. We see Goldline's already also got himself a military barracks, pumping out a couple of Mermillo, but Tunison is just saying, you know what? Screw the water. I'm giving up on that. I'm going forward. He's grabbing this town center on the front, but we've already seen a couple of units here for Goldline. This is really, really clean play from Goldline to put the pressure on, but there should be a handful of units out here for Tunison to survive here, as he's going to have to retreat away from that town center for the time being. Goldline's already on 2 town centers here. We see a second town center for TSM player as well. Town center coming up for Ninjo, though, a little bit late on that one. It's a couple of Herser going to move in onto this spot. Ninjo in the defense there as well, as the heroes are going to start pushing forward, trying to put some harassment there. It's very important to get that forward town center, as everyone should be aware of now after all of the Mediterranean games. And both these teams controlling their forward town centers nicely here, but this does mean Tunison not going to be helping out. Oop, what happened there? Not going to be helping out a whole lot here on that water. Needs to be careful not to lose too many ships, but maybe they just have to give up on the water completely and try and find some value on the land. It's quite difficult to do so because, I mean, where are you going to attack? All the wood villages are on the back here, the gold villages over here. You have to sneak by. There's no way to sneak by, so it can be a little bit challenging to get that early game harassment here. But Tunison has the advantage here on this spot right now. He's got the forward town center. Goldline's got a weakness in this forward position. If Ninho can identify this and get over and support on that forward town center there, that's going to be a really, really big play there. It looks like he's going for the bottom side here, though I don't think it's 100% necessary. So long as the town center gets up for Moscow, he should be completely fine against the Poseidon here, at least until a potential Artemis comes through. So putting all the pressure onto this town center here and trying to control is the biggest opportunity for TBL, or the biggest weakness of TBL, the biggest opportunity for CUD to take here in this game. We'll see if they're going to be able to manage to do that and what TSM player is going to be going for. Very, very standard for TSM player to just rush for the heroic age, rush for the mythic age, and try and hit an underworld timing. That's what he does best. He's one of the best. He has some of the best underworld usage out of anyone I've seen in team games, and he's probably going to be attempting to replicate that prior success again in this game as the Bareems come through. They do manage to find some low HP fishing ships. Tunison with a little bit of a late reaction there, pulling his fishing ships back, does lose one, but he's still on the front. I'd love to see him putting some pressure here into the main base, because what Goldline can do, and he can definitely do it here, is he can just rush to the heroic age and then push through a weaker Tunison who's on 3 town centers. 2 town center, semi-fast heroic in the 1v1 generally wins because you get those dryads. That's an extra 15 population, which equalizes the town center differential. And then you've also got the less resources spent at that specific point in the game from that town center not being spent. And you obviously have to buy the heroic age, but it kind of works out. Great micro here from Ninho, pulling Goldline away. This is exactly what CUD needs, as Goldline loses all of his Bareems there, as Tunison pushes in ever so slightly. Goldline here does lose everything out there, as on this bottom side here we do see the TSM or player town center getting disrupted, but Goldline is in hot pursuit here. Stables coming up there from TSM player. I don't think he really needs stables, as he does delete that one. Definitely not really much need for that one, as the army still pushing through on the front here. We see Persine coming through for Ninho, as it looks to me like CUD has held the water for the time being. TSM player is still out on the map, but meanwhile, walls coming up. We see the Kosovo's coming through for Skadi, trying to get a little bit of scouting going here, as Moscow going to be engaging Skadi on this front. At this point, who wins this fight? Probably the armory upgraded Moscow is in a bit of a better spot. It looks to me like Moscow, he hasn't grabbed this back town center. Ninho is trying to grab it there. He does have this back town center over here that is his. Moscow needs to grab that one. This is something I see we've already seen actually once happen, where the Thor player didn't get that back town center and Underworld came in, and it was really, really challenging to get that one up, as we do see some Thrown Axemen coming over now to help out where that's concerned there. Meanwhile, Tunison still holding on this spot. We do see the Apollo already coming through here for TSM player. So he's the first one to hit it there. As the Tunison army going to be able to continually contain Goldline. Goldline's in a challenging spot here. He's not that far in front in economy in the slightest here in this moment. In fact, I think he's behind on the economy at this point. He's just in front because of kill loss potentially over Tunison on the water, which means 0 in terms of everything else. But TSM player is dictating he wants to go to the left. And Ninho, he's nowhere. He's nowhere to be seen. Armory now just coming up. He's a little bit slow here to advance. Not using those chickens, getting farms up. Very, very slow. There's boars over here he could be eating. There's up on the top here. That's a random deer. Probably not that useful where that's concerned there either. But now we've got the temple coming up for Moscow. Is he going to the next age? No, but we see the Thayers coming through for both Tunison and for Goldline. So a very, very similar timing on that one as military buildings coming down. Ninho needs to be over here and yesterday here, as TSM player is going to be allowing Goldline to push through here and claiming this position. Not only that, Aphrodite comes through for Skadi. I wouldn't mind seeing a curse getting dropped down here, as curse getting dropped on the bottom side of the map as Moscow gets pushed back, but restoration getting dropped by Ninho to help out Tunison here as well, as he's barely holding on in this fight, but he will have to retreat away. There will be an Apollo available for Ninho, but he's produced no military buildings just yet. He's going to be rushing that Mythic Age. This is dangerous because obviously it just gives Goldline the advantage. TSM plays in a fantastic position. Ninho going to have to match up against that TSM player boom, which is absolutely gigantic, as as Gold Line and TSM player trying to push through here. We do see the Palace coming up here as well for Gold Line to secure the town center, as well as now we see some military buildings coming down for Ninho. It is really important to get those buildings spammed up here around this town center. This is something that is really smart for Hades players to do against Greek teams. On that forward town center, just put a whole bunch of buildings around the town center. We don't need farms on this town center here for Moscow either. So just completely lay into this, get yourself your masons, architects, upgrades, and then you can play around potential earthquakes that could be coming from a pesky Poseidon or Hades player, or even an Egyptian player making their tornado or meteor or something like that. As the buildings here of Tunisia get taken out, Tunisia, after all is said and done, he is not as far in front as I think he should be. In fact, he's probably behind now ever so slightly. How are his economic upgrades going? He's got pickaxe, hand axe there, and shaft mine. Gold Line's already got himself plow, quarry, hand axe. We do see the farms coming through as well as plow is on the way. We do have Helios also coming in red hot here for Gold Line to boot, whereas Tunisia doesn't have anything. So he's going to have to chase around this Helios of Gold Line while not being Helios. This is really, really big for Gold Line here in this one, as we've got TSM player has snuck through onto this location. Did he build a transport ship or did he just walk over here? I've got no idea how he got here. Does anyone, did he delete it? Maybe he just built a transport ship and deleted it, or he sent it back. I don't see it anyway. He's just snuck through onto this spot, and Tunisia is now getting harassed. His economy is getting harassed on this map, which is not ideal in the slightest here, as Moscow is trying his best to shoot towards a position where he can get like towers up, ballaster up, and start pushing back against this Skadi who's going through Hephaestus. So this is going to be an interesting tester here for Moscow. Now, one thing that is big for Team TBL to deal with here, CUD has got access to Balder and Underworld here, which is possibly the hardest thing to deal with. You can Underworld onto the Gold Lion base with all of those Ragnarok heroes, with a whole bunch of villagers from Ninho and an army, and help completely annihilate this Uranus base here. We'll see if that's going to be the plan here for CUD, but still no Mythic Age coming through as the Helioses are on the way. Tunisia a little bit behind the 8 ball on that Mythic Age, but I don't think it's going to matter that much. He's already at 70%, so he should be able to chase that down, as the harassment here onto Ninho still coming through. An enclosed deck is coming in already here for TSM player. He knows the importance of the transport ship in this game. Look at this beautiful landing spot here for TSM player to abuse in this game. We'll see how it's going to go, and if it's going to be a possibility for him to find that advantage there. Obviously not going to be wanting to use that Underworld passage too early. There's always going to be a good spot for it. You don't have to use it if you've got a dock with, or a bunch of villagers in your opponent's base. It's basically the same thing as an Underworld, as the Navy's still searching around here for TSM player to get a little bit of harassment. Forward Palace is coming up here as well. The Colossus on this position as well, as we do see the Plenty Vault has come down. The units over here still harassing, as Sultan 4, heavy infantry, heavy archers, watchtowers coming through. Going to be a little bit behind the 8 ball, with TSM player already having himself Forge of Olympus in this game, as the Symphalian Bird's going to be taking out those units fairly nicely here. Colossus trying to take down the Palace as well on this spot. Very tough to take down a Colossus here. You have to basically heroize your infantry units because it's got such high pierce armor. Archer heroes just don't cut it here, but you need the archer heroes to take out the Symphalian Birds as well. As meanwhile on this spot, it looks like things are getting dealt with here by Ninho, as TSM players' units will start falling. The transport ship is out. The 20 population or 20 unit transport ship is out, as TSM players now also sending Heliopoli over to support Ninho. Sorry, not Ninho, to support Gold Lion on this spot, as well as Gastrophedia here. He doesn't have himself Burning Pitch, but it's on the way. Meanwhile, a little bit of a stalemate on this side as Skadi and Moscow duking it out here. Remember, there is still a frost remaining, so you can use that whenever you want, but there's no rush to do so. A perfect defense to Heliopoli Colossus is Mass Frost Giant. If you get out a Frost Giant for each of those siege weapons, you can really put a stop to any sort of progress that a Greek player can make as the Norse player. But you do need to have all that favor and potentially a forward temple here as well, as the Frost Giant getting pulled back ever so slightly here as a Polyphemus coming through, causing some problems. Another Frost Giant coming in, but the Hill Fort does end up falling down there. Meanwhile, over on this position as well, the Heliopoli breaking through. Still Ninjo taking his time to get over here to help out. Where is he in this game? Finally sending his units forward here to support, but it's too little too late as Tunison drops down to 2 town centers. That's the advantage that TBL needs in this game to move forward. Secrets of the Titans coming through. Iron Mail, Iron Shields on the way as well here for TSM player. He's about to be fully upgraded, but not only that, he's got all of these Heliopoli, which means Underworld Passage is now going to start looking very, very scary for him. He could also give the Underworld Passage over to Skadi if he so chose. Obviously, still going to have to deal with that Frost, but at any point, that's going to be a very, very smart thing to be doing. But Moscow here, he's still struggling to get to that next stage. He did lose all of his fishing ships here, and we see the fortresses coming up on the front here by TSM player. He's alerting everyone to his presence here by that fortress being here. Obviously, anything else does that as well. Mason's coming through as well. Temple coming up, and I'm sure a whole bunch of buildings are going to come down in here, going to be reacting with his own fortress. Is it going to be fast enough with those heroes coming out? We'll have to wait and see. The heroes there to kind of defend against any sort of Frost Giant shenanigans as a response here from Moscow. But Moscow is too preoccupied with the Greek. The Greek player continuously pushing forward here. Upgrade situation, fairly decent in all honesty for Moscow. Still missing a little bit of vital upgrades here. Skadi on the catch up there as well, but you actually can't catch up to the Thor player's upgrades because he's got that one extra line of upgrades, which is actually a really, really big deal. But the problem is obviously that you start not really needing it doesn't really matter trading inefficiently with your units in the late game because resources don't matter that much. You've got such a crazy income. It's the Titan Gate now down for TSM player. 20 minutes in there, and Tunison, Moscow, Ninho decide to tap out here. A ruthless efficiency here from TSM player. I think if Ninho went, this is my thing. My biggest gripe with Mediterranean is nobody plays to the situation here on Mediterranean. No one is using their brain, so to speak, on Mediterranean. There was a perfect opportunity here for Ninho and Tunison to exploit the fact that TSM player was rushing the Mythic Age. And what they could do with that is take this position here with a stronger classical fight from Ninho. Rather than rushing the heroic age, stay in the classical age, move some villagers over, support Tunison, and break through this gold lion position. TSM play wouldn't have been there to defend. Yes, there's going to be sentinels, but it doesn't matter that much. You can also go for Aphrodite here and make a bigger push because you obviously don't need that underworld if you're pushing through. Things like that, or alternatively, if you push Skadi off this town center as well, you could have done the same on this bottom side as well. But instead, we see kind of that reaction into, or not even a reaction, that tendency to fall into what's the standard? Fight water, get town centers, boom, Mythic Age, then fight. And it just takes too long here. And TSM player obviously just too good at this kind of meta, so to speak. Really, really strong, super quick on that Tide Gate. 20 minutes into the game here after all is done already. If you guys enjoyed this one, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.